Today we're going to be talking about solving equations with variables on both sides. That's our learning target right up here, our learning objective. Solving equations with variables on both sides. The essential question is rephrasing the learning objective into a question. It's what do you need to know by the time that you leave out of class today? And so today you're just going to say, how do I solve equations with variables on both sides? Look at the very first one. Okay, we have some steps. Over here, I'm going to put the steps. And this is the steps to solving equations. Here it's with variables on both sides. Sometimes it will add steps, but most of the steps are usually similar throughout all types of equations. Like you would look for parentheses. Then your letters left, numbers right, and then divide. Okay? All right, so here we go. Let's take a look at this. I have a letter here and a letter here, so I need to move it to the left. The way I'm going to do that is to be able to get rid of this, I have to subtract 2k. So I subtract 2k from that side. I have to come across to the other side of the equation and subtract 2k there. 6k minus 2k gives me 4k. Minus 3, bring that down, and bring your 13 down. The 2k minus 2k is gone. Right, now the next step is numbers to the right. Well, here's a number without a variable, so I'm going to have to change its sign, add 3. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Again, the reason to do that is so that that would be 0, so those cross out, and I have 4k equals 16. Very last step is to divide, so I'm going to divide by 4, and my k is 4. All right, let's take a look at number 2. Letters to the left. I've got a letter right here, so I've got to move it over. Take the opposite of that. Make sure you do it on the other side. I get 6t minus 7 equals a negative 5. Numbers to the right, I'm going to go add 7. I get 6t equals 2. Okay, divide by 6. And my answer is 2 over 6, which when you reduce it, it's 1 over 3. Right, remember you can pause if you don't understand how to do something. You can pause it, you can go back, you can review it. This is a video, so this is for you. All right, right up here, first thing you notice is you have fractions. Okay, there's a couple things that you can do to get rid of the fractions. You can multiply every piece by the denominator, each piece of the equation, and that would get rid of your fractions. So the denominator here is 5, so I can multiply this one by 5, this one by 5. I have to come across here, this piece by 5, and this piece by 5. When I take a fraction like 2/5 and multiply it by 5, remember 5 is the same thing as 5 over 1. So what happens is this guy crosses that guy out right there, and I have 2 over 1, which is the same thing as 2. So here this becomes 2n minus 9 times 5 is 45. 7 times 5 is 35. And then here I've got 3/5 times 5, again, over 1. Those cross out, and I get 3 over 1, which is 3, so that's a minus 3n. Okay, now I've got letters on both sides, so I've got to take the letter on the left, and I want to move it on the right and move it over to the left. So I'm going to add 3n. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other. I get 5n over here minus 45 equals 35. These should cross out, so they should have opposite signs so that they turn out to be 0. Okay, I'm going to add 45. That's numbers to the right. I get 5n equals 90. Oops, excuse me, 80. Divide by 5. And I believe n is 16. So that right there is my answer. Okay, come over here, same thing. If you want to, what I would do is I would say stop the video, try to solve this one on your own, and then you could check your answer, right? So you can pause it right now. I'm going to go ahead and go through. Since I have a 2 as a denominator and it's a common denominator, I'm going to multiply this by 2, this one by 2, this one by 2, and this one by 2. Okay, 8 times 2 is 16. Half of 2 is 1, so this is minus 1p. Here, this ends up being 3p. That's 2 times 3 halves. And then a negative 10 times 2 is a negative 20. Okay, letters to the left, so I'm going to move minus 3p. If we were in class, you would have been doing this one on your own, and then I would be checking it. Right here, it's minus 4p equals, those cross out, a negative 20. Numbers to the right, so minus 16. Okay, those cancel out. I get a negative 4p equals a negative 36. Divide each side. And I get p equals a negative over negative turns out to a positive. 4 goes into 36 9 times. All right, move down here. This time we've got more than just variables on both sides. If you notice, we've got a variable here and then we've got 2 over there. So before we start moving across letters to the left, we're going to combine these 2 letters. So 7c minus 2c is 5c minus 14. Now we just have one letter on both sides. So we're going to go ahead and our letters to the left. Get 3c here plus 1 minus 14. Okay, numbers to the right. I get 3c equals negative 15. Divide by 3. And c equals a negative 5. Okay, here again, if I were you, I would pause this and see if you could try to do this one on your own before I do it. But this one's a little bit different. It has parentheses. So that means we have to use the distributive property. So we're going to take this negative 2 and multiply it by t. So I get negative 2t. Negative 2 times 1, I get negative 2. I'm going to bring down this 8. And just bring the rest of the equation down. Okay, over here I've got a positive 8 and a negative 2. I need to put those together. 8 minus 2 is 6. Bringing down my negative 2t. Okay, now we've got letters on both sides, so I'm going to add 3t here, add 3t here. I get 6 plus 1t equals, those cancel out, 1. Numbers to the right, so I've got to change sign, so it's a minus 6, because that right there will cancel that out. I get t equals a negative 5. Okay, moving on to the next one. It's over on the next page. All right, here we go. This one has parentheses on both sides. Remember, when you're doing equations, you have to do parentheses first. So I'm going to come over here and go. 2 times k is 2k, and that's a positive 2k. 2 times 4 is a positive 8. Okay, let's go do parentheses over here. 5 times k is 5k. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Don't forget to bring down your plus 10. All right, now, both sides have more than 2 terms on it. So look, that's usually a key that you're going to have to combine like terms. So I've got a like one here and here. 5 plus 8 is 13. I'm going to bring down my 2k. Over here, I've got this like term and this one here. So it's going to be 5k. A negative 15 and a positive 10 is a negative 5. Okay, now 2 terms on both sides. You can't combine them. One has a k and one doesn't. So I'm going to do variables on both sides. So I'm going to take this 5k and I'm going to move it to the left. Remember, the way you move it is change its sign. Okay, over here I get 13 minus 3k. 5k minus 5k, that cancels out. That's good because we wanted the case to be on the left side. Bring down your minus 5. Right after letters to the left, you do numbers to the right. This is a positive 13, so we're going to subtract 13 from it. I'm going to come over across the equal sign right over here and put a minus 13 also. Okay, that cancels it out because 13 minus 13 is 0. Bring down my negative 3k equals, put these together, they have the same sign, so add them, that's 18, and keep the sign. Last step, I'm going to divide by a negative 3. You're dividing by the coefficient of that variable. So I get k equals, negative over negative is a positive, so 3 goes into 18 6 times. That's my answer.